Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to eXtelevision. We're just here bringing you the Week 1 UGC Platinum North American Highlander match of the week between Electric Temptations, or ET, and Ginyu Force. Two names that I'm sure are familiar to just about anyone who's been watching North American Highlander for the past couple of months, couple of years. Definitely two very strong teams. Arguably the teams to beat this season, so I think this is going to be a good opening to the season. I'm joined by Oxy, who comes to us all the way from the land of shrimp on the Barbie. I'm not even going to try to do an accent. How's it going, Oxy?
G'day. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Really excited for this match. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a lot of high energy. Going to be really interesting to see what kind of strong players come out of both teams. And I think it's going to be a very good indication of the kind of skill level we're going to see coming into this season, especially from these two very high North American Platinum teams. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, so I guess just to run down the rosters real quick before we go live here. Do you want to start with one of the teams? Pick any team,
Sure.
I don't care.
I'll go down the roster for Electric Temptations. We have Decimate on Scout, Boink on Soldier, Satan on Pyro, 38 Special on Demo Man, Kill 'Em All on Heavy, Spamfest on Engineer, 404 on Medic, Phase on Sniper, and on Spy, if I'm correct.
We mostly just say H and G, but I kind of like your way, to be honest. Yeah. So do you want to just real quick talk about what players you think are going to stand out on this team, or should I, or should we both?
Well, for Electric Temptation, obviously, everyone knows that their Demo Man is obviously a very, very strong player for them, so that's going to be very interesting to look out for. As well as, I think Pyro, their Pyro Satan, is going to certainly come into it this map. You know, it's certainly... This map's, very much comes down to a bit of the Uber and the crit exchange, especially between the two teams, and the Pyro really works really well in terms of delaying the other team's aggression, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of work their Pyro can put in terms of delaying the enemy Demo Man.
Yeah, I definitely agree 38 Special and Satan on Demo and Pyro respectively are huge playmakers. I'd also say I think I'd give Decimate the edge in the Scout battle just because of his knowledge of Highlander, and he's just a really strong Highlander. I've always said I think he's probably the best Highlander Scout, and I saw ET in their warm-up scrim was actually missing Decimate, but he's here now, and I think it made a huge difference in their performance. I think on a DM-centric King of the Hill map, when the fights get scrappy, you'll see Decimate come in a perfect time to clean up those lit players. And both snipers and both demos are going to be extremely strong. I guess I'll just take the Ginyu roster real quick. On Ginyu, we have Bronze on Scout, Mela on Pocket, Soldier, Fathom on Pyro, Zalux on Demo Man. It looks like we have Patty in the server. I'm wondering if he's filling in for Dill or if Dill is coming back. I was told Dill was going to be playing. I wonder if Patty's going to be playing. Oh, Dill's missing. Okay, so Patty's going to be playing instead on Heavy. Sigafu on Engineer, Overseer on Medic, Max on Sniper, and Stabby on Spy. And I gotta say, when I was planning on saying which players I thought should stand out, I was definitely going to bring up Dill on Heavy. I think with Arthur gone, he's pretty undeniably the scariest Heavy this season, but Patty, I mean, I've seen him play a lot of classes. He's a very talented multi-class man. Like, he can play a lot of different things. He plays Scout, Demo, Soldier. But Heavy, I mean, I don't think he's a bad Heavy, but I just don't think he'll bring that sort of flair that Dill will. So, I mean, comparing the lineups, I think there's a lot of classes where both teams are very strong, like the Sniper battle. FaZe and Max, probably the top two snipers in North America, and it can really come down to who's having a better day on Viaduct, just a super sniper map. But I definitely agree with you on Satan. I feel like it's pretty hard as Pyro to contribute a huge amount of damage and frags on Viaduct. It's more of a map where you kind of stick with your combo and just kind of, like you said, deny Ubers, spy check, and the like. But Satan somehow finds a way. Like, I swear to God, every game I've seen, he's like mid-table to top of the scoreboard and, just always getting kills, always finding ways to, hit sick flares, just kill anyone he wants on the flank, and still coming back in time to Uber. I mean, he's a really strong player, and I think Satan is one of the players who can make an edge along with Decimate. So, do you have any predictions, Oxy?
It's a tough one, given that both these teams are very, very strong. But I feel like just as it's coming into the first week of the season, I feel like ET are probably going to come out of this one on top. I feel like it's going to be a very close one, possibly a 4-3. But I certainly feel like just giving teams time to warm up and get ready. I certainly feel like ET being a bit more of a, like, they're both very seasoned teams, but I feel like ET are going to have the edge on this one.
Yeah, I know sometimes it's kind of a tradition for casters to, contradict each other. The other one to say, I'm gonna back the other team just for fun. But I gotta go with my gut, man, and I agree with you. I think ET has had sometimes in the past they've struggled in playoffs, and they definitely have had, they haven't been as flawless as they originally seemed when they first started going undefeated. But I still do think that ET will have the edge in this first season match. And I mean, I got a chance to take a look at both of the teams' warm-up scrims, and neither of them looked super convincing. I mean, ET lost convincingly to DK, whereas Ginyu was tied with quality control. Both teams that I thought that they should be able to beat on Vieta. So I think maybe both teams are still a little slow warming up, but it should be noted that ET was missing a couple of their starters for that warm-up scrim, whereas Ginyu had, I believe, the exact same roster they're going into this match with. So I think a lot of the players on this team are very even. I mean, you have Spamfest versus Sigafu, which is a very even matchup. You have Boink versus Mela, also very even. Both have played a lot of Highlander. Max versus FaZe. But I think the flank for ET is just a tiny bit stronger overall. And yeah, it looks like we're about to go live in about 20 seconds. So prepare yourself. This is going to be a pretty good game. I'm sad to see Dill miss out on this, even if this isn't the most fun, heavy map for some people. But I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens this game. You want to take us to the first mid-fight? You want to take us to the first mid-fight, Oxy?
Yeah, sure, I'm going to take us to the first mid-fight, and I'm going to be watching ET and seeing how their rollout is going. And they seem to be rolling out middle, favouring going around the house and pushing up. It seems like the red demo man got there a little bit faster, and the spam being traded across the point. At the moment, we just see 2, 3, 4 go down for ET, so certainly a body advantage for Ginyu Force pushing up onto this point. But no one's put bodies on the point yet. This is a really good point, a really good chance for Ginyu Force to come in and put a bit of aggression on the point, and they're doing that now. Trying to set up a forward hold, and really strong mid coming up from Ginyu there.
I thought it was just going to be a total one-sided wipe, but Decimate actually came in at the end and got a bunch of flank kills. I'm not sure how important that'll be, though, because the rest of the team wasn't there in time to really clean up, and Overseer has a huge Uber advantage now, and the point. Yeah, it just seemed like ET just tried to walk across the point without enough damage to back them up, and they just got destroyed by Max. But yeah, it looks like they're already trying to recontest. However, they don't have Uber and the other team does, so they have to be really careful to not overcommit their medic here. They're kind of doing a little half push, trying to force out the other team's Uber, and they actually do get a ton of flank kills. This is really poor by Ginyu, allowing their whole flank to die before they pop Uber, or maybe it's their flank's fault for overextending before the Uber. But the Uber is essentially going to be worthless, and ET is just going to be able to casually stroll back in here and retake the point.
But we do see ET Spy was behind enemy lines and did not get called out, and Stabby goes behind and gets uncloaked and just gets butter knifed down by the ET Spy, so pretty embarrassing for him. And he's still behind enemy lines. He has not been called out.
Yeah.
Giving a lot of information to his team right now. So really good play by ET Spy HNG.
Keep going for a second. Actually, I just have to fix the setting really quick.
That's right. And we do see Red kind of come out and trying to contest this point. We do see Stabby trying to get behind ET, but he is called out. Oh, but he does make it, or he gets called out finally in the end. We do see both teams being very passive at the moment. No one's really pushing, but you know, Ginyu really need to try to contest this point and get some time on it. But we do see the Uber charge coming out of Electric Temptations, and that is going to be popped on mid. And Ginyu aren't going to have a Uber to contest, so they're just going to back off and let this point stay in the hands of ET. But the clock is ticking down, and both times are relatively even now, around 2 minutes for the two teams. But we just see a big bomb coming in from Boink, but he doesn't get it. With the Overseer very lit, but he's able to come out with his Uber charge now and drive Electric Temptation
and Max kills 4
off the point.
I'm sorry, I just got back, and the first thing I saw was Max sniping down 4-4. Huge start to the new hold by Ginyu Force. And yeah, I think both teams are kind of recapping the point, and it seems like they're getting a tiny bit greedy and losing a lot of their flank. Like just now, Mela and Stabby go down without anything to show for it, and I think ET is going to push back on their spawn advantage. I mean, unfortunately for them, Stabby does manage to take down FaZe, which is a really good pick by him. But even so, I think you're going to see ET try to work back in here. They just have to be really careful of Max. I don't think they're going to wait for Uber.
Yeah, one thing I'm very surprised about is it seems like Ginyu Force, they seem very confident this game, especially like what you could see that like with that bomb in, like the medic wasn't even feeling tempted to pop, or like a lot of confidence in their team, you know what I mean? Like a lot of trust, which is really good to see, especially from these high level plat teams.
Yeah. And FaZe actually comes back up and immediately gets a couple of nice headshots, so I do think Ginyu is going to gradually be, or sorry, not Ginyu, ET is going to be gradually retaking this point, although they still have to be very wary of Max. And yeah, I think what you're seeing from Ginyu, unfortunately, I think the reason that I mean, they're still technically winning in time, but actually, wait, no, this is crits, I'm sorry, I totally missed that. It happened while I was out of game, and they forced the Uber, but they don't really get anything else with this crits. I think they are going to recap the point. They don't get a lot of kills, though, but this is a good opportunity for Ginyu to just immediately repush. H&G does take down Zalox, so this is going to be difficult, and they might just have to reset and deal with the fact that they're going to have crits disadvantage, especially because Boink bombs in and takes down Overseer. Huge play by Boink. In fact, the whole team is just getting decimated right now for Ginyu. ET is not stopping, they're just pushing right in. And I don't think Ginyu's going to be able to retake this point right now. They're going to have to wait until their medic is back up and they get heals, and even then they're going to have to deal with the crit screen. Yeah, I think you can see the difference in how long these teams have played together, because when the flank from Ginyu makes the play, it seems like an individual play, like Mela will bomb by himself. And I'm sorry, I have to interrupt myself because Stabby just takes down 4 of 4. I'm sorry, man, this is getting too complicated. You take over for a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly feels like Ginyu aren't really. It doesn't really feel like they're moving as a team, and you can really see that in terms of the point capture. It seems very much like players are coming in and trying to do their individual roles, where it doesn't feel like there's a lot of team cohesion. Whereas we can kind of see now ET pushing back onto the point.
It doesn't really matter if your sniper's on a 6 kill streak, does it? FaZe is just doing work. He's killed Zalox several times in a row, though. Zalox is probably starting to get frustrated. And ET does recapture the point, but how long are they going to hold this for without their demo man? He is back up now, though, so... yeah, I don't know. It feels like when ET wants to put some aggression and they have their whole flank working together and they just clean up the other team's flank, whereas you'll see someone like Mela or Stabby make a solo play, and sometimes it works, but sometimes they give the other team a player advantage, so... I feel like...
That's the issue that I'm seeing at the moment. Like, they're going in and trying to make big plays, but they're also sacrificing themselves when they're not really able to sack, which I feel like is kind of where their problem is. We just see the Uber exchange coming out now between the two teams, with ET getting the better end of this Uber, able to contest that point very nicely.
I don't know how Ginyu dropped that many players. They really needed to be more careful there in their Uber, but yeah. Ginyu's gonna hold on, ET's gonna hold on to this, and there's only 10 seconds left, and this is not good. Patty just got caught out, so Overseer just got caught out, so they're not gonna have a medic for this last second repush, and I think it's gonna be ET's round. Knock on wood, but I think they've got this. Yep.
Yeah, that's the first round ET.
It just seemed like both teams got a little cocky once they capped the point, but when ET kind of kept pushing past the point, it worked out a little better because at least they were coordinated about it, whereas Ginyu would cap the point and then their flank would kind of run off to die. And it looks like we have a pause right now, unless the source TV crashed.
Just in terms of what I think that just the confidence coming out of ET there was very noticeable. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't feeling pressured to push on the point really at any time. And you could see that the times were really even. But when they were feeling confident and when they knew they had that advantage, they were very happy to push out and get that aggression on. You can see that especially in that final moments there when they were happy just to push forward and clean up the enemy players.
Yeah, I'm just, because we're in a pause, I just took a really quick look at the frags from the first round, and one thing I noticed, to be honest, was a pretty big difference in the soldiers. I mean, both have a pretty similar damage output, but Mela is at 2 and 10 and Boink is at 9 and 7, which suggests to me that, even though both are obviously very strong invite or X-invite soldiers with good DM, that Mela is just kind of getting caught out by himself, whereas I think Boink is playing off his team a little bit more, so he's getting more opportunities. And I think if Mela is obviously a scary player if he can get going, so I think if he can just coordinate a little better with Bronze, with Sigifu, maybe with Fathom at times, I think maybe he could get more done, and you'd see him a lot higher on the frag count. Another thing to note is that both snipers are very close to top fragging for their team, if not top fragging. Not surprising at all. Both teams have very strong snipers, and Viaduct is obviously a sniper-dominated map. And I guess the last thing I would note, just while we're still in this pause, is that even though it's only a difference of 1 death, I mean, 4-4 actually died more times that last round, and his team, UT, still won the round. So that just shows really strong coordinated play by their flank if they can win the round, even if their medic's getting picked off more. And I think you saw some nice things from the Zalox and Overseer combo, but, I mean, they still lost the round, so they gotta work out some of the kinks in their flank, I think.
Yeah, certainly.
Trying to figure out who crashed. I see it's 17 out of 24. Give me 1 second. You talk while I try to figure this out.
Sure. Yeah, as we could see there, we saw the change from Metagun to crits from ET, and like it worked for them in some point in terms of forcing Ginyu Force to pop there, but you know, we do see both teams really running the Metagun at the moment, which kind of slows down that kind of play. I find I'm usually preferable to having two teams on crits just because that's the way that I usually like. I like to play fast paced. And like, not saying that it isn't fast-paced, I'm saying it's, you know, very interesting instead of watching the medics kind of being like, okay, we're just getting Uber exchanges, what can we change to try to get more frags, or what can we change to try to work with this other team, you know what I mean? Because, especially for both medics being very high-level medics, that have that in the back of their mind in terms of, like, you know, what's kind of happened, are they trying to bait us in, etc. So, it's going to be interesting to see, obviously both medics are running Metagun coming into this round, but it's going to be interesting to see like if they change it up, if they feel like they need to change it again.
Yeah, I kind of dig crits too personally. I like it starting the round. I think if you bring it to a mid fight, because Viaduct mids, I feel like in Highlander as opposed to sixes, oftentimes the team that tries to go aggro first loses because they have to like walk into a sniper, a heavy, a mini. So it's nice to have like more motivation. I mean, and it looks like we're actually back live. It was actually Spamfest that crashed, but looks like we're back into this next mid fight. We see Ginyu Force just rolling out sort of left side by their cliff. ET is mirroring them. Not a lot has happened yet, but Stabby is right behind the medic. He takes down 404 and he takes down 38 special. Huge play by Stabby. And this is probably going to be a pretty easy Ginyu mid unless they find a way to mess it up horribly, but it does not look like they've done that so far. They're just walking over the point. Hopefully they don't lose Overseer stupidly, but I think they're going to keep everyone alive here that matters. And yeah, they're just going to dominate and cap the point. I know the scoreboard, the main HUD scoreboard is broken, but for those who can't see, pretty much everyone on ET just died, and almost no one, like probably only 2 or 3 players on Ginyu. So really, really good round by them.
Yeah, really aggressive play coming out of Ginyu, but what was surprising was like there were lots of ET players still trying to contest or behind the rock. And like they just didn't clean up on it. Like they got a few players, but there were certainly a lot of players that got away that could have, you know, been cleaned up. But they might have just been wanting to play a little bit safer, you know what I mean? Like not wanting to get too aggressive and have it backfire on them.
This is really nice play actually from Decimate. He just like got on the point, opened up cap time. I'm kind of sad that his team didn't go with him a little bit more, because I think if their team had done more of a coordinated suicide on Overseer, I believe Overseer has advantage. And actually here we see where Spamfest crashed in the future, so that's pretty bad considering his team needs him to be repushing the point, but it might not matter if FaZe keeps rattling off headshots like. And I think, yeah, ET is
we have
retake the point.
We have equal Uber on both teams, so I think Ginyu are kind of choosing to sit back and wait to let that player advantage and try to do it, but we do have Stabby behind enemy lines for ET, but he gets called out.
Yeah, good job by Satan.
But we do have ET Spy behind enemy lines also, but he's getting called out by the heavy.
Actually, Boink whipped
Stabby
to death. That was pretty funny. I don't know if Stabby is dead ringing or not, but it's nice to see a whip kill whenever you can. It looks like Boink tried to go in and make a play, but he got caught out. That's something that you don't want to see, your flank just dying. But Max makes it even worse by taking out FaZe. I think this should easily be a Ginyu Force recap if they work off the strength of these picks, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. They do bait out the Uber from ET, but they're going to have a much longer Uber, as long as... Except, oh my god, that's horrific. Oh my god.
Yeah, ET certainly get the better exchange of that Uber right there, with at least 5 players going down for Ginyu.
I don't know if you saw what happened, but Overseer was about to pop on Zalax, right before she clicked the button. Zalax gets backstep, then she tries to meet up with Sigurd before she can catch him. He's really low health, keep in mind. HNG just front stabs Sigurd, just butter knives him. So really nice work by the Spy, just crushing what should have been a better Uber for Ginyu in that situation. And the times are pretty even, but ET is slightly ahead. However, Ginyu is pushing back pretty aggressively here. They've made a lot of room. HNG does get another really crucial stab on the heavy, though. And Spamfest has a wrangled mini up on China, so I think this should be a repush for Ginyu, or for ET rather. They have more numbers. They have the spawn advantage. You know, for those who don't know, the team without the point spawns a lot faster on Viaduct. They can just kind of work in non-Uber and use their better spawns. The heavy and scout are still down for Ginyu. Those are really big picks. And I think they're just going to recap the point for free here, ET, and come in and force the Ubers. So nice work by them.
Yeah, it feels very much like comparing the two Spies. Like HNG is being more preferable to kind of stay behind enemy lines and give his team that kind of intel, and not really too worried about getting like crucial picks. Like he got the heavy, but then like he didn't really want to like just. There are a lot of Spies who'll get one pick and then suicide straight after, or try to go for like a miracle play. Whereas Stabby seems to be going in and trying to get like the big picks like the medic, whereas HNG is happy to go behind and kind of like, give that recon to his team, which I think is...
Speaking of big picks to get the medic, Ginyu just steamrolls back in, but while they're doing it, Boink manages to take out Overseer just at the last minute. Really good play by Boink, realizing that, you know, the gig is up, they're about to lose the point, they're outclassed. The best he can do is trade his life for the medic, and it was a really good call. Now you're going to see ET with this uber advantage with the time dwindling down in the round, and if they play correctly, in theory, they should have this round. They just keep trading ubers. And FaZe takes down Zaylox, so this is a huge play by FaZe. Not surprising, again, to see the snipers dominating. Satan catches out Stabby. Decimate takes down Patty. This is a massacre. ET just easily recapping the point right now.
We have captured the control point.
So what are you seeing going on right now, Oxy?
Well, I can certainly see, you know, ET holding back off that point. You know, they have the full uber charge. I'm not sure if Ginyu are very well aware of this or not, but, you know, Ginyu wanting to come in and try to contest this point. But I feel like, you know, ET are just going to uber charge and try to crush them completely, which I feel like, you know, Ginyu have to contest. You know, ET aren't really too worried about getting a forward hold here. They really want Ginyu just to come in and try to push and take this point off them.
Mela does go behind and trade with Boink, and Bronze takes on HMG, so there should be a repush by Ginyu. However, they don't have Uber quite yet. Oh, a huge amount of their team gets caught out before the Uber. This is not very good. They have Uber advantage, but they only have like 4 players to use it on. I don't know how they're going to be able to hold this point even with this Uber. I think, the Uber gets forced out, but they can't really chase anyone down. All ET has to do is wait out this Uber and then just collapse back in, and I think they're going to do exactly that.
Yeah, really good work by Satan in terms of recognizing that the other team would be close to Uber and forcing that medic, just getting in there and just bringing out the M1. It's always the best way to make the medic pop and always the most satisfying.
And HNG takes down Zaylox. Actually, that's one thing I've noticed a lot this game is HNG's really been targeting the demo. And it kind of works out because I don't think Ginyu has been playing as if their demo is really a threat. You know, they've been keeping their medic alive really well, but if Zaylox goes down, that's almost as bad, especially with this little time left. And ET is going to get Uber in time, so ET really has to mess up to lose this round, and I don't think they're going to do so.
Yeah, this is like a really, not decisive, but it seems like there's certainly a lot of that aggression and confidence I was mentioning before coming out of ET in terms of these rounds.
Yeah, I'm just really quickly looking at the stats as we wait, and wow, one thing that just jumped out at me. Zaylox and 38 Special have pretty equal kills and damage, but 38 Special has 2 deaths, Zaylox has 10 deaths. So if Zaylox is getting picked off every time he tries to put out damage to help his team, that's not good. His team needs to protect him better, or maybe he just needs to be more careful just by himself. I don't know. But
we just see a big bomb coming in from Mela here, but he gets caught out and can't get that medic.
He gets totally pooped on by Satan, actually. Really nice reflect by Satan. And this is going pretty clearly to ET, and Stabby misses the stab. That was hard to watch. He was just about to hit it when the medic turned around in the last second. Everyone knows that feeling. And this is just a complete whitewash by ET. One interesting point to note is that I think the first mids were either very close, or I think Ginyu actually won the mids. But this is something you often see where the team that starts winning gets more confident, and then they do better in mid fights later on as the other team starts to get demoralized. And it's like ET just steamrolled a mid like completely.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of aggression coming out of ET, and I think that you can really attribute that to, like, you saw their demo get to mid a lot faster, which, while it didn't result in many picks, it certainly, you know, helped lock down that area from the red team and stop that aggression coming in. And, you know, like, that kind of happened. They weren't able to come in and back up Mela, and he goes into the bomb, and, like, it just didn't really capitalize for him. But we do see Stabby behind enemy lines, but he does get caught out, unfortunately, by Satan, but he got that good demo man pick before.
Yeah, this was a nice Ginyu repush, and I think one theme I've kind of seen is both teams are really reluctant to pop Uber to hold on to the point, so much so that they're like losing half of their team before they finally do pop it. And what you saw there was ET milked onto their Uber for so long that they lost their demo, they lost their pyro, they lost their NG, they just lost way too many players and they couldn't hold on to the point. So now we see Overseer with a huge Uber advantage, but a soldier is on her, but she manages to stay alive against Boink. Max takes down 38 Special as well, so this suicide was not successful, but oh my god! HG's comes in right before Overseer touches the health pack and body shot Ambassadors her. That's totally brutal. Sick play by HG, and really unlucky by Ginyu. They had done a great job keeping their medic alive until then. The suicide, I was going to say, was a failure, but, you know, Caster's curse.
Yeah, and we do see Ginyu come back and trying to contest this point.
I don't think they'll be able to decimate just destroying Zaylox, though. He does go down to max, but that demo pick again is just huge.
Yeah, we do see ET getting control of that point. And Ginyu coming out and trying to contest, but ET have that full Uber charge. But with several players down on ET, this is a good time for Ginyu to push out.
Yeah, if they can force this Uber before their medic gets committed into the site, that's really good for them, but I don't think they'll be able to right now. They don't really have anyone getting on 404 right now, and 404 is pretty safe sitting right behind the cliff side. And his team is probably... I think Ginyu's playing this smart as well, though. They're baiting out the Uber with the cap time, and they do successfully do that. The Uber doesn't really get anything. I would have liked to see... And Max takes down 404 right after the Uber with a body shot. Yeah, that Uber was mostly a single on the Devil Man. I would have liked to see them take like a scout or a soldier and just to like get aggressive, but they really just kind of stalemated on the point, and then right afterwards Ginyu pounces, and then... I think the Ubers haven't really been super effective by either team. It's kind of the play afterwards where one team just gets aggressive and demolishes.
Yeah, it's certainly what you can see, and like, you know, props to the Zalox there, you know, for recognizing that ET had full overcharge and just, you know, pressuring that medic with rollers and stickies, and, you know, I think that's certainly a big part in terms of getting 404 to pop early, because he took a few rollers to the face. So...
And we do see Ginyu with Uber advantage now, but they're down a lot of players. It's an 8v5, so I was going to say this would have been a good time for Ginyu, or for ET rather, to try to force Ginyu while holding the point, just to be able to repush with Uber advantage, but looks like they didn't opt for that. Right now they're just trying to get cap time, but hopefully, do they know that Ginyu has Uber advantage? They're really far out, and yeah, that's kind of a gap. Savvy capitalizing well while everyone's looking at the Uber, but that was kind of a mistake by ET. I don't think they realized that that Ginyu had full Uber, and they really overcommitted their medic. So, sick headshot by FaZe, by the way, but I think this is still going to be a Ginyu first point, unless FaZe hits some ridiculous shots right now, but he's not at the moment. And Sigafu, I didn't even see that. Was he hiding in a corner camping 404 as he came out of spawn?
Sigafu was just behind house and just catches that 404 straight away, just was not called out by the team and just takes him down. So, you know, it was a big advantage to Ginyu, but then somehow Frag just went the complete opposite way.
ET lost their medic, and you could tell they just got really angry. Decimate just charged in and did about 600 damage before dying, and made so much room for the rest of his team. And they just, I think that was completely Decimate who won them that, to be honest. He got 2 kills and did like 400 damage to all this of surviving people. It was just completely nuts play. So let's see if, I mean, the time is dwindling, and ET currently has the time advantage, but Ginyu has the time advantage, but ET is holding the point, and they get forced incredibly early, but Max gets off some nice headshots.
ET is going to have crits creep very soon, and this has not been called out by Ginyu, I'm pretty sure, because Ginyu came in and just popped there, but trying to force him off the point, and they just backed out, and they have 100% crits creep right now.
38 special goes down right before, and 404, oh, that's so unfortunate.
Oh, 404 dropping that crits creep.
I mean, that was really Max body shotting. H&G headshotting the demo and the medic as spies. H&G is just going ham in this game. I was not expecting him to honestly carry this hard, but he's doing huge work for ET. And I mean, this is just going back and forth. Again, the trend of Uber's not really doing much. I mean, that crit looks like it was going to be great, and then suddenly Zalex gets body shot and the medic gets killed. Heartbreaking, but Ginyu is still going to lose this point. They have 2 seconds left, but can they get this point back, or is ET going to hold it for the last 30 seconds? We have to see. This is getting close. Moink gets a nice kill on a stabby. Max gets a really big kill on the heavy. That should be good, and I think Ginyu's just going to use that to steamroll in on the point, not Uber. Patty takes down the Pyro and the Spy. Max takes down 404, so this should definitely be Ginyu forces point, and presumably their round. And I think, yep, nice. I think there were several headshots in that round from Max, and really nice play. I think, honestly, looking at the stats really quick in between rounds, Max really saved Ginyu that round, because he's sitting at 33-9 despite his team losing this game. 9 more kills than the next highest person on the server, which is FaZe. So, sick play by the sniper. And let's see what happens on this next middle. Why don't you take it, Oxy?
Sure, and we see ET coming out and getting very aggressive. A big bomb in by Boink. He's on top of their battlements there, and the medic goes down from Boink. So that bomb was very successful. So the medic is now up for ET. So that's a significant advantage for ET. And Ginyu is going to back off this point completely because they're not going to bother contesting this. And we do see the 2 engineers kind of having a bit of a fight there, but
Sigafu and Zalox are actually getting really suppressive considering. But ET still kept their medic alive, so it's not the end of the world for them, and I think they're going to eventually get this point with all the cap time. But yeah, sick play by Boink. Usually when a soldier bombs him that early, he just distracts. He doesn't actually get a ton done, but he managed to get the medic. And then really nice play by Decimate, kind of pocketing 4-4 and helping him stay alive after the counter suicide came in. So nice work by ET's flank yet again. I think their flank is really carrying them this game.
And we do see ET with the full Uber charge, so they're going to be able to hold this point for a good amount of time. A lot of spam going down onto the red team with the demo man Zalox for red going down.
Especially,
238 special.
I noticed Boink bombed in just to kill Max because Max has really been the one opening up a lot of these Ginyu pushes, and without Max, his team's just going to have to wait even longer. You see, they don't want to push it on him. But Alpha FaZe takes down Overseer right when they're about to commit, so that's huge. Already a minute off the clock for ET just about, and they have full Uber advantage. This is really good for ET. Great start to this round for them. And it looks like Ginyu is kind of afraid to go for a suicide. I guess they didn't really have buffs, but I'd like to see them try to at least force the other team's medic, because they're not really getting a lot done here. Zalox is just trying to get aggressive, but he goes down, and yeah.
One thing to note, Stabby is behind enemy lines, behind their house, but he gets called out by the demo man, but he's still there, and the demo man's pushing forward, but Satan's trying to come around and catch him out, so unfortunate for Stabby, he doesn't get the pick that he wanted.
I think that was a bit of a misplay by Ginyu. They tried to commit to try to force the Uber, but the only person who seemed to go aggressive was Zalox. The rest of his team kind of baited him, and we finally do see the Uber come in. Really nice denial by Fathom, who basically makes that Uber useless. That's why you need a scout with that Uber on a map like Viaduct, I think, but...
Something to note there, Mela was really deep behind enemy lines. Mela was in the little area behind their cliff in that house, and he did get a good pick onto the heavy, I think, but he was really deep behind enemy lines, just got caught out, and he couldn't do anything for his team there.
So we finally see an Uber advantage for Ginyu, but they're down 2 minutes on the clock. They have to play flawlessly to win this round, and I'm not sure it's going to happen at the moment, so let's see if they can repush with this Uber. They need to take someone with Zalox. It can't just be Zalox, and Zalox can't die before the Uber goes off. He can't get sniped, can't get splashed, but their heavy gets backstabbed. They need to get someone else from this Uber, like a scout or a soldier or something, but again, their Uber's not going to get anything. They're going to get the point, but that's not worth a lot with 2 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock to them. ET can just come back in with their Uber, recap it, and they should win the round just due to the time. Ginyu really needs to bring more to the table than just these weak Ubers that just recap the point and nothing else. And
yeah, we could really see big work by Satan coming in and denying that Ginyu Uber. Like, as I was saying at the start of the round, the pyro is really, really important, especially on a map like this that's so congested. And, you know, big work coming in from him.
Yeah, and the way it worked out, Ginyu actually only has like a 20% advantage. Max does take down 38 though, so I'd like to see them push now. Don't even wait for Uber, you have to go now, you have to make something happen. If you wait for Uber, you're going to lose just the time. Unfortunately, I could be correct all I want, but if Boink and FaZe get picks like they're about to, wow, they just completely demolished. And this just, wow. ET really knows how to go off of like one pick, like they get a couple numbers and they just collapse on the other team. Like FaZe got the demo and that was their signal to go. Boink bombed in, Decimate just plus forwarded. And yeah, ET is sitting at almost 100% Uber with 5 seconds left. Ginyu's not even there yet. This is going to be an ET round. And that's going to bring us to our half.
That was a very dominant round by ET in terms of being able to contest this point and put in work. But Ginyu Force are actually capping up on this point, but no, ET have the answer for that one.
I don't think they're sponsoring. Yeah, it's over. So nice round by ET, easily the most one-sided of the many rounds we've seen so far. Just to go over some stats really quick, top fragger in the server is actually Max on the losing team, 37 and 15 with 9,600 damage. FaZe is at 29 and 14, so he has the second most kills, but he's still getting moderately outsniped by Max, if not a ton. But other than that, it's all ET right now, and the biggest thing is that their combo is just staying alive so well. Like looking at the stats, Zalox and 38 Special both have very, very similar damage. 38 Special sitting at 423 damage. Zalox is actually out-damaging him at 425, but Zalox has died 17 times and 38 Special only at 7. It feels like every time Ginyu Force tries to repush the point, they lead with Zalox, and if Zalox dies, which it seems like he's getting focused pretty hard, they just don't have the damage. So if they find a way to keep Zalox alive, maybe have players run out in front of him, let Zalox kind of walk in second and do that mid-range demo spam, I think that would help them, but it seems like he's just always leading these pushes. They need to get like their scout and soldier to get some heals and just kind of lead the push, I think. I mean, looking at the stats, I see the flank, specifically the scout and soldier from and pyro actually from ET are all outplaying their counterparts. You see Boink, 26 kills, 300 damage per minute. Mela only 16 kills and 230 damage per minute. Decimate has 24 kills and 280 damage per minute, whereas Bronze has 190 damage per minute, only 19 kills. Satan has almost twice the damage of Fathom. You just see this ET flank, you know, they're going so aggressive, they're getting heals, they're getting buffs, they're just using them to go in, and that's what's winning them the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would certainly agree. And I think Koth is also one of those kind of maps, especially on Viaduct, is one of those maps where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Especially once you get that forward hold going and a really solid aggression, like the frags just like virtually guaranteed to come your way, which I think is very noticeable in the numbers in terms of being out DM'd, but also like, you know, we saw a lot more aggression coming out of ET and a lot more point time. So.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, I'm actually looking at the stats, and I think the heal spread from ET is a little bit more even. Their flank is getting more heals, whereas if you look at the heal spread for Ginyu, it's really just being dominated by their heavy and demo. And it feels like their flank is just playing too far away from the rest of their team. Like, they need to kind of blob in. Like, Viaduct is not a map where you need to have, like, only a couple people with your medic and then everyone else just kind of go on to the side. Sometimes you just need to blob up and retake the point and use your DM to your advantage. And I feel like Ginyu wants to win, they have to have their flank come in with their combo, get buffs, and just make room for the rest of them, like you see someone like Decimate doing. And let's see if they can turn it around, because sometimes a halftime break can give you a second to think, but I hope that that Ginyu can come to the right realizations about what they need to change in this match, because they only have one round to do it. If they lose one more round, the match is over, and ET are the winners. Ginyu has to win 2 rounds just to tie it up, and then a third to win it, so this is going to get pretty intense for Ginyu. Do you think they can do it, Oxy? Do you think it's a lost cause, or do you think Ginyu can claw their way back?
I don't know, like, as we were saying before in the predictions, you know, we both thought that ET would be the stronger of the two, and, you know, to see Ginyu come out and, you know, take that one round before, where I felt like it was going to be certainly a round going to ET, I feel like they have the potential to bring it back, or at least put a few more on the board for themselves. Win it, I'm not sure. Usually in these kind of situations, when I look at the numbers, you know, it's only 1 win for ET to win, and, you know, they need 3 for Ginyu to win, but I certainly feel like they can come out and, you know, show everyone what they're made of, and, you know what I mean? Like, they've got the name for themselves, they just need to be able to, you know, back it up. But especially with 2 such strong teams like these, you know what I mean? It's certainly always a good level of play to watch. So
just as an aside, it does look like we go live in 90 seconds, or 90 seconds right when I was about to say it, so it's probably like 60 seconds now. So I'm looking forward to seeing if Ginyu can bring it back. I just feel like they need, I mean, it's such a cliche to say play more as a team in a game that literally has the word team in the title, but I mean, that's what we're seeing. Like, ET just, every single player on their team is focusing fire, they're shooting the same targets, they're playing off each other's damage, whereas it feels like as good as their DM is and as good as their individual players are, you see Ginyu still going for these individual plays. And I think, hopefully the Ginyu, all I can say is that, like, the Ginyu we see in playoffs who are seriously trying to make a #1 bid for this season aren't the Ginyu that we're seeing today, because I think if they play the way that they're playing today in playoffs, they're not going to win the season, and that's what they made this team for, to get #1, you know? So let's see if they can turn it around.
yeah, as we were saying at the start, you know, it is the first week, so I feel like with ET being a lot more of a seasoned team, you know what I mean? I feel like the first week favours them in terms of getting back into the swing of things and, you know, kind of knowing where they stand. But we are live. So do you want to take this mid?
Yeah, sure. I want to watch Ginyu on this mid. I want to see if they can turn it around. I'm going to watch Zalox. It looks like he's rolling out pretty slow on the cliff side. So far, just exchanging a little bit of damage. 30th Special actually also rolled out the cliff, but he instantly dies to Max. This should be mid over if they play it right. If you lose your demo that fast, I mean, that should be the mid. And I think it looks like, to Ginyu's credit, they are going to take advantage of this. Slowly walk across the point, use their better damage, and ET just bailed. So, interesting to note here is that ET is going to keep their medic live. They are going to keep that even Uber, but they're going to have to repush against an Uber as well. So this is just going to be an Uber exchange, and let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think a certainly very important pick there was, you know, Max hitting the pick onto FaZe, which really denied a lot of the aggression coming out of ET in terms of, like, really solid picks.
We see Ginyu's flank getting caught out. It was like a big miscomm. Like, Zalox thought about holding forward, but he decided not to, but then Paddy, Sigafu, and Max went forward by themselves and died. And this is just what we see, not very coordinated. And the Ubers get popped out relatively even, but Satan flakes and flare punches Zalox before he can get flashed. So The trade is actually going decently in Ginyu's favor, but they did lose their demo, so yeah, I imagine the damage is going to take over, and we see ET cleaning up and recapping, and that was just not very coordinated by Ginyu. Again, they capped the point, and they just overextended some of their flank classes, and they're heavy. So,
yeah, a lot of solid aggression coming out of ET at the moment, and really driving Ginyu back.
Zalex is trying to come back in. He does do a ton of damage to kill him all. It gets picked off. So they are going to come back in here, but they lose a couple players on the flank, Mela and Stabby, and then FaZe takes that Overseer. So superficially, Ginyu's going to recap this, but I think they're going to lose it right again because they lost their med.
Yeah, there's something to note. Like, Mela was trying to, like, you know, get in behind enemy lines, and it just, like, I feel like it's just not working out for them, but they're not changing anything in terms of Ginyu. Like, they're trying to get in behind flanks and trying to make, like, solo plays, and it's just not working for them, and they're not really, it doesn't really feel like they've, like, just looking at this first round, it doesn't seem like they've changed anything, with ET able to come back and really just take this point.
Wow. Killable on Heavy and Boink went for an aggressive play to take down Overseer, which meant that ET was actually able to cap without even using their Uber. So now ET is sitting, holding the point with an Uber advantage. They still have a lot of time to make up because Ginyu started the round so strong, but I think they're going to be able to do it with the super advantage. They do get forced, but can Overseer get out here? That's the question. I think she's going to be okay, but yeah, it does look like Overseer gets out, so she should have a small but still existent Uber advantage.
And we do see the lone sticky from 38 Specialist going over and catching out Patty, just trying to get up on the point and get some cap time, and just boop going over the top and just catching him out.
Really nice kills by Ginyu, actually. It looked like ET tried to push back in right away, but it did not work out for them. Max and Stabby in particular, I know, is getting a lot of kills done, so ET's going to have to reset and wait a little bit before they can repush. And this looks like a very promising round for Ginyu. They're finally getting something going here. They can just keep their team alive, and Bronze overextends a little bit. This is not what they need. And they lose Stabby and Sig, but this is what I'm talking about. They're just getting their flank caught out. Patty and Zalex do take down 38 though, so there's still some hope.
We do have the Uber coming in for Ginyu, so they've got 100%, but we do have ET coming up very soon.
Guys right before the Uber. Uh-oh. I think
Ginyu is backing off this point straight away.
And they get forced too. This is awful. Look at their Uber. ET hasn't even popped yet, and I don't even think they're gonna have to pop.
Yeah, really good work by 4 calling that and just hiding that Uber like straight away.
Not
Like you saw him just run away.
He just demolished Mela when he tried to come in. And Overseer and Fathom and Stabby get caught out. And Zalox and Sigapook, almost a complete wipe.
Yeah, lots of players down for Ginyu.
What you're seeing here is Ginyu wants to hold forward, which is fine, but it's like their flank wants to hold forward more than their combo does. And you can't hold forward without your combo being super far forward because they have the heals and they do the damage. So like, without them, your flank is just going to get caught out by the other team's combo, which is just what happened. Like, if Ginyu wants to play that aggressively, they need their combo to commit to it first, and then their flank. And it's not happening that way. So, ET is going to Uber back in. I don't think they're going to be able to get to, but oh, they are. Never mind. They take Decimate in the Uber, and he manages to reach Overseer. And that's what I'm talking about with the Scout Uber. You know, it's so powerful on this map. Overseer would have gotten out if it weren't for the fact that Decimate was in that Uber. So
yeah, and we do see Ginyu really want to come out and contest this point. They need to get time on this point. If they lose this round, you know, they're out of it for good. So ET are very happy just to sit back and, you know what I mean, let Ginyu be the aggressors here and let them lose the bodies.
I do think Ginyu's doing a good time of putting cap time on this point, though. Their Scout and Soldier just committing really hard, and they do manage to recap without even losing any players. But after the push, again, it looks like their team got a little cocky and caught out. So let's see if they can still hold this. Oh my god, did you see that shot by Max? Air headshot on the Boink as he faded away behind the rock. Ridiculous shot.
And we do see ET just coming out and just contesting straight away. And ET are going to have that full Uber charge very, very soon. So, you know, ET were very happy to let Ginyu, you know, push in, lose a few players, and then kind of come out and contest.
Yeah, Zalex did go down, which is going to make it very hard for Ginyu to repush. And they do have Uber now, and a little bit more time, so hopefully they can force out the Uber from ET. They do take down a lot of ET's flanks, so if they can just force out this ET Uber with their own in the repush, they should have a good chance, but...
We do see Stabby behind enemy lines, but this is what it's going to come down to. If they don't make a move and this Uber exchange, if this Uber exchange goes either way, it's going to really determine the fate of this match.
Nice work by Mela forcing out the Uber, and this is going to be a better Uber from Ginyu. However, can they do anything with it? ET is doing a really good job of scattering, and this is going to be tough. Ginyu has to repush now. It's not an option anymore. If they don't, they lose the round. They repush, but they get destroyed right after the repush.
Yeah, lots of players down for Ginyu, and it's going to be just an easy recap for ET. They need to get bodies on this point, but once they do it, it's just a win.
Yep, and that's the game. GG. Just really quickly going to look at the stats from that last round. And it looks like Fathom and Max both putting up huge numbers in that last round, but the story of the round to me, of that last round, unlike the first half, was 4-4 with 0 deaths and Overseer with 4. It just felt like every time Ginyu tried to do anything that second half, the flank of ET was just immediately on their medic, and it was just not possible for Ginyu to get any momentum going. So that's actually 4-1 to ET. I think both of us thought ET would win, but we were thinking more of like a 4-2, 4-3 kind of game, you know? And 4-1, I mean, some of the rounds were close, but overall a little more one-sided than either of us predicted, I have to say.
As I said, as we were saying at the start, like it is the first week. I feel like, you know, Ginyu might be relatively rusty. You know, not to like make that sound like a bad thing, but I mean, like I think they're just kind of getting in, finding their groove. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you know, in the coming weeks, I feel like they're gonna find their feet, become a lot more solid, and you know, I feel like we'll see them in playoffs, certainly making big names for themselves.
And I do want to really quickly respond to a post I saw in the stream chat, which was someone saying Max deserved the win, and I wanna second that because Max finished the game. Let me do the math really quickly here. 51-27. So even though his team lost, if I'm not mistaken, he ended up top fragging in the whole server by a pretty decent margin. I don't even think it was that close. And you really did see him keep ET in the game Ginyu in the game a lot of the time. So I agree that it's sad that Max is on the losing team. And I mean, I also want to point out that Dill, the starting heavy, was not here for Ginyu. And I mean, Patty is a really smart overall player, but he doesn't have that specific heavy experience. And maybe with Dill here, it could have been a little different, you know, more cohesion in the combo. I don't know, but it is always demoralizing to have to go into a game without all your starters. So.
Yeah, I would certainly agree. Max put in a lot of work for his team, and really, you know, unfortunately, they weren't really able to capitalize on a lot of the picks that he got. Like they were able to get in there and put a lot of damage in, but their flank just got caught out so many times. And also, props to Max. I was doing a bit of research for the game, and his display picture that he custom made was very, very nice. So if he's hearing that, shout out to him for a very interesting picture.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, I think you see a lot of potential for Ginyu going forward. I don't think like you would look at this game and say, okay, the solution is to cut all the players who got bad stats. You would say every one of their players showed individual flashes of talent. It's just that they were kind of going for too many individual plays and not like repushing together, or they were getting caught out. It's like they were playing as if they, like the way they might play if they were playing like a low plat team that they didn't really have to think or try very hard to beat. But ET just, every time they pushed them, ET pushed back, and ET could match their DM but had like better cohesion. So I mean, like every single player on ET's like Decimate, Boink, Satan, FaZe, and H&G, if you count them, like they just all put up a lot of damage because they just played together and cleaned up those easy kills of like individual players overextending. So
yeah, there was a lot of synergy coming in from ET, and we didn't really see that coming out of Ginyu in terms of either there just wasn't communication or there just wasn't really. Yeah, they just weren't capitalizing on working as a team.
So yeah, normally after something like this, especially if it were a huge match, I'd try to get an interview or something. Unfortunately, kind of have to run today, but thank you for joining us, everyone. Hopefully you understand that it's very hard to live cast a Viaduct match. So much shit going on. Feel like a little boy with attention deficit disorder in a candy store, you know. Every moment I want to point out that an Uber was dropped, I suddenly notice that FaZe hits an air headshot, and then I suddenly notice that Bronze runs in and gets like a 3K. You know, there's just too much stuff to follow sometimes. I want to say all of it, which is why you get caster whiplash, man. But I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the season. I think we're going to see many more good matches to follow. This was obviously a very high-profile match, but let's not forget that there are a lot of good teams in the league other than these two. You have DK who are making a good stand. You have Quality Control, R5, and then some of the newer teams that are trying to make a name for themselves after like a season of gold, or maybe they're just newly formed. So keep following the rest of UGC Platinum. I'm sure there'll be a lot of great matches to catch, and I think we're pretty much done here. Any shout-outs, Oxy?
Shout out to Dashner for coming in and doing cam work for us this evening, and shout out to yourself, obviously, for joining me for this lovely cast.
Shout out to you, Oxy, for having a deal with the 250 ping mumble. For those who don't know, when you live that far away, it has effects on the latency of your mumble. So the fact that you managed to not accidentally cut me and yourself off just constantly is pretty impressive. Good job.
Thank you. And yeah, shout out to my own plat team. Shout out to Anzacs. And that's it from me.
Have a good evening, everyone.